This is Under Review, the show that talks about Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports stories as well. I'm Jordan Long. This whole show is devoted to the Colorado Avalanche because we are at the NHL All Star break. Let's take a look at the Avalanche's record to this point and look at their season to this point. The Avalanche hit the break with a record of 27 wins, 18 losses, and 3 overtime losses for a total of 57 points. Right now, they are the second wildcard team in the Western Conference. Therefore, they would be in the playoffs if it were to end now. That is, the season were to end now. Of course, we knew going into the season they were going to try to defend Lord Stanley's Cup because they are the defending Stanley Cup champions. The Avalanche had a new starting goaltender, Alexander Georgiev. He was going to be their starting goaltender for the year. Pablo Francouz was going to be the backup goaltender for Colorado. Actually, the Avalanche can trust both of these guys in net. Alexander Georgiev's record is 20 wins, 11 losses, and 3 overtime losses with a save percentage of .920. Colorado knows when there's a shot going toward Georgiev, he is going to make the save. You know, I do look at it as goaltenders do give up rebounds, but Georgiev has limited that. That hasn't allowed opponents to find the puck on a rebound to put it past him. His goals against average is 2.60. Pablo Francouz has also been a reliable goaltender for Colorado. His record isn't as good as Georgiev at 7-7. 500 isn't bad, but I would like to see it above 500. But hey, I'll take a 500 goaltender because at least you have a chance to win half those games every single night when Pablo Francouz is in net, but I'd like to see it a little higher. Just like Georgiev, Francouz is making the saves. His save percentage is .917. Again, pretty good numbers. The Avalanche can trust Francouz as well. His goals against average is actually better than Alexander Georgiev. Remember, Georgiev's is at 2.60. Georgiev can make the saves, but if you look at Pablo Francouz, it's better at 2.58. So Georgiev is at 2.60, while Francouz is at 2.58 in terms of goals against average. Really, though, not much of a difference for the Avalanche when it comes to their goaltenders. Both of them are going to make the save to keep the puck out of the net. That is key for them. Sure, they give up goals they shouldn't. And what I mean by that is they give up goals through the 5-hole, over the glove, but over the blocker. But you know what? That happens. When I look at that, though, it's sometimes the defensemen basically lose their man or they turn the puck over, and that creates a breakaway for the opponents because the defense didn't get on their man and they fire it on net. That's going to happen. Of course, you're going to have rebound goals too, but it's all about limiting them. Either way, though, when your goaltenders are playing that well, it gives you a chance to win night in and night out. Well, going into the season, we knew the Avalanche could score on offense. They have skaters that can score. It's a long list, but here are a few. Mikko Rantanen, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Artturi Lehkonen, and JT Compher. I mean, I could go on because this team is loaded with scorers, and I knew they were going to be a dangerous offensive team. Mikko Rantanen, though, leads the team with 61 points, and of those 61 points, 34 are goals. After that, Nathan MacKinnon added 54 points so far this season. So pretty good to get 61 points from Mikko Rantanen and 54 from Nathan MacKinnon. The thing is, though, even with all the firepower, the Avalanche only score 3.06 goals per game, 20th in the league. Now, if you compare that to last year, Colorado averaged 3.76 goals per game. It hasn't helped that they are missing one of their best players. Well, I wouldn't say their best player, but a key contributor on offense, Captain Gabriel Landeskog, who has been out the whole year dealing with a knee injury. It was expected he would be back by now. Well, that isn't the case. He hasn't returned yet. We don't know when his return date is. I've heard February. Well, we're in February. Is it going to be at the end of this month, or is it going to be in March? March would be a better place because then he can help the Avalanche with the stretch run to the playoffs. Then again, his return is up in the air. That is a possibility that he could be back. That is, Gabriel Landeskog could be back in March, but the Avalanche need to be careful with him so he doesn't come back too soon. They really do need him on offense. Once they get Landeskog back, the Avalanche will be even more dangerous on offense. Looking at the power play, it was supposed to be really good because of all this firepower on offense. Well, that hasn't really happened. The Avalanche can set it up, but they can't score. Other times, teams take the puck away and shoot it to the other end, killing time off of the power play for the Avalanche. That doesn't help. And if you look at Colorado, it's sometimes like, why did we give the puck away? But if you look at the power play, the Avalanche are at 24.5% scoring on the man advantage, 8th in the league. Now, I'm not going to complain about that, but I would like them to take more advantage of the power play more often. But still, 24.5% scoring on the power play isn't that bad. Going into the year, my one area of concern was defense. If you really look at the Avalanche, I talked about their goaltenders, but the fact of the matter is they let Darcy Kuemper go, who was the Avalanche's goaltender to win the cup. That decision really came down to money. I'm sure the Avalanche would have loved to keep him, but one little problem was the cap space, so the Avalanche let him go. I don't know how much conversation there was between Darcy Kuemper and the Avalanche, but it was decided that he would test free agency. The Avalanche knew they had Pavel Francouz. The truth is, they needed more than Francouz to win games, and that's when they traded for Alexander Georgiev on July 8th, 2022. I get it. They wanted a number one goaltender, and Alexander Georgiev was it. They didn't think Pavel Francouz was it, even though Pavel Francouz can have those number one goaltender duties, I should say. Now, I told you his numbers, but here they are again with Alexander Georgiev. His record is 20 wins, 11 losses, and 3 overtime losses. His goals against average is 2.60 with a save percentage of .920. Anyway, with his help in net, and that is also with Pavel Francouz's help, with Alexander Georgiev's help in net, the Avalanche give up 2.73 goals per game, 8th in the NHL. The difference, though, or I should say the defense, is playing well in front of Georgiev and Pavel Francouz. They are able to see the puck and make the save. That is, Pavel Francouz and Alexander Georgiev can make the save because they see the puck. When it comes to the power play kill, and this is an area that I want to see improved, teams spend so much time in the defensive zone of the Avalanche and set up the power play. It becomes difficult for the Avalanche to move the puck out of the zone. They try, but opponents keep it in, and they have scoring chances. Colorado's power play is not that great, but it's not that bad. It's at 76.8% of the penalties they take that they kill off. 19th in the NHL. Again, not bad, but not great either. If you look at the Avalanche season to this point, good teams have winning streaks. Actually, most teams do. Colorado is no different. Their longest winning streak of the year is at 6 games. That was from January 14th when it started, and that was a 7-0 win over Ottawa. It ended on January 26th against Anaheim. And really, this was a game they probably should have won because they were ahead in the third period, but dropped the game 5-3. Now, Colorado has won 2 games in a row twice and 4 games in a row once. They also had a winning streak of 3 in a row this year. Every team goes through losing skids. I don't care if you win the cup or not. The fact of the matter is, if you're looking at the regular season, you are going to have losing skids. You never want to see it reach a big number. Luckily for the Avalanche, they haven't lost that many in a row so far this year. Their longest losing streak was 5, and that was actually early on, so thank goodness it happened early on. That was from December 27th to January 5th, and that was a 5-game losing streak. It's very rare, I should say, for the Avalanche to drop consecutive games. Usually they don't lose that many. If you look at it, they have also lost 4 in a row and lost 2 in a row and three times this year. So 2 times, or I should say they have lost 2 in a row 3 times this year. It's pretty good for a team trying to defend their cup. The Avalanche will start the second half of the season on Tuesday, and their opponent, and it's going to be a good matchup, and that is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking at the second half of the season, the Avalanche are in pretty good shape right now. They are the second wildcard team. They are not that far back from a top 3 seed in the Central Division. Remember, the top 3 seeds in each division earn a playoff spot, and Minnesota is ahead of Colorado by 1 point and currently holds the 3rd spot in the Central Division. For them to have home ice for 1 round, they're behind Winnipeg by 6 points. In other words, there's still work to be done. I know the Avalanche are the second wildcard team in the Western Conference. The team just actually behind them, is Calgary, but they have the same amount of points. The difference is Colorado has 2 more games in hand on Calgary. Looking at the second half of the season, the big key for the Avalanche is to get players back. Defenseman Josh Manson and Bo Byron are actually skating with the team. They should be back in the lineup soon. Byram is going to help the blue line to score even more, and that adds to Cale Makar and Devon Taves. Adding Byram is going to take the pressure off of them. Manson is a guy who's going to check players off the puck. That could be key to ending teams coming into the defensive zone. Looking at the Avalanche as a whole, they need to score more on the power play and actually get the puck out on the power play kill. If they can score more, that's going to be a big help. And if you're going to take time off the power play kill, that's also going to help the goaltenders. As for the Avalanche, they are in pretty good shape right now, and the stretch run will determine their fate. Hopefully, they can earn a playoff spot even as a wildcard team to defend Lord Stanley's Cup. We're going to go into the trade deadline for the Avalanche and who they could target. The NHL trade deadline is on March 3rd. As I told you, the Avalanche are still in a position to earn a playoff spot. They're again 27 wins, 18 losses, and 3 overtime losses, a total of 57 points. And that is good enough to be the second wildcard team right now, wildcard spot right now. But hey, that could all change. So we know at the deadline, the Colorado Avalanche might be busy. What could they be looking for? Well, it's easy. An upgrade to their scoring in the stretch run, especially a second line center. Going back to last year, Nazem Kadri was their second line center. He was great at that position, scoring 28 goals and adding 59 points for a total, or I should say 28 goals and 59 assists for a total of 87 points for Nazem Kadri, the most in his career. In the postseason run, Kadri appeared in 16 games for the Avalanche, and he had 7 goals and 8 assists for a total of 15 points. And of course, he scored one of the biggest goals for the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final as he scored the game winner in Game 4 to give the Avalanche a 3-1 series lead over Tampa Bay. So he had 7 goals and 8 assists in that postseason run for 15 points. The Avalanche really wanted to keep Kadri, but they didn't have the salary cap room. Kadri agreed to a 7-year, $49 million contract with the Calgary Flames. When that happened, the Avalanche knew they needed to replace him. What I mean by that is more secondary scoring. The Avalanche thought they had found his replacement in Evan Rodriguez. It took a while to sign Evan Rodriguez, but he agreed to a 1-year deal on September 12th, 2022. That's pretty late in free agency. Rodriguez, though, has shown a little bit of promise being the second-line center for the Avalanche. He had scored 11 goals and 15 assists for a total of 26 points. Rodriguez has been part of the Avalanche power play, which, like I said, stands at 24.5%. he can score, that is Evan Rodriguez, can score and find his teammates for scoring chances. Rodriguez has scored 5 goals and 3 assists on the man advantage, so he does play a little bit on the power play. The Avalanche, though, could look to add another player at the trade deadline. One that actually makes sense and he's familiar with the organization is St. Louis Blues center and captain Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I thought that maybe Colorado would go after Bo Harvard, and it's easy to see why Harvard could have made sense for Colorado. He's a scorer with 31 goals, and he finds his teammates for them to score with 28 assists. So if you look at that, that is 54 points, which surpasses Harvard's total of last year of 52. So that addition could have been exciting. Well, I'm not sure if Colorado even called Vancouver. That's who Bo Harvard did play for, was Vancouver. Even if they did, there wasn't a deal that was reached. Harvard ended up being traded to the New York Islanders this week. The Islanders have 55 points, and that's 2 points behind Pittsburgh for the second wildcard spot. They really hope Harvard helps them earn a playoff spot. Of course, you want to make a deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that's why they got Bo Harvard if you're looking at the Islanders. Even so, though, Bo Harvard is going to be an unrestricted free agent, and who knows if he will stay with the Islanders. So it could be a rental, and who knows if it will work out. Colorado may have dodged a bullet with Harvard. The Avalanche, though, could go for a name, and that actually makes more sense. Ryan O'Reilly. The Avalanche are familiar with Ryan O'Reilly. I really hated to see him go, but we will get to what Ryan O'Reilly meant for the Avalanche. O'Reilly's first team in the NHL was the Avalanche, so a familiar name. He played for the franchise from 2009 to 2015. In that time, O'Reilly played for 427 games for the Avalanche, scoring 90 goals and adding 156 assists for 246 points. Now, for whatever reason, he did become a fan favorite. People loved him and one of the best players for the Avalanche. The thing is, though, I still don't understand why they traded Ryan O'Reilly, but they did. I think it came down to money because Ryan O'Reilly wanted to be paid. Well, the Avalanche traded Ryan O'Reilly to the Buffalo Sabres on June 26, 2015. The Sabres then traded him to St. Louis on July 1st, 2018. Colorado might want a reunion. The Avalanche know O'Reilly can score, and we know how important he was for the team and the St. Louis Blues. So basically, it was important for the Avalanche, and he was important for the St. Louis Blues. Plus, the Avalanche need a second-line center, and it really makes a lot of sense. O'Reilly can win face-offs. He can win face-offs, and he can score. In the regular season, Ryan O'Reilly totaled 250 goals and 438 assists for a total of 688 points so far in his NHL career. Those sound great, but the truth is the Avalanche want him for another deep run. That's what they're looking for, is to add depth for a long run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They would love nothing more than to win a second consecutive Stanley Cup. O'Reilly has plenty of NHL playoff experience. Of course, he won a Stanley Cup with the Blues in 2009. Besides that, he has played in 64 playoff games in his career, scoring 22 goals and adding 34 assists for a total of 56 points. Everything about Ryan O'Reilly sounds like this is a guy that the Avalanche should go after. There's one problem, and this is why I wouldn't go after him right now, is the fact that Ryan O'Reilly has only played in 37 games so far this year. In those games, he's still a scorer. He has scored 10 goals and added 6 assists. O'Reilly has been out since December 31st, 2022 with a broken foot. He's expected to be back in the lineup for the Blues before the March 3rd trade deadline. I don't know when that is, but if he's back, he needs to show he can score. The question is for him, and I can see why the Avalanche would want to go after Ryan O'Reilly. My question is, though, is how healthy is he? And we won't know that answer until he's back on the ice. Then we know what kind of hockey shape he is in. A broken foot is a hard injury to come back from. If, say, Ryan O'Reilly comes back to the Blues lineup and he looks great, it makes sense for the Avalanche to go after him. If he doesn't look like he's back to playing his game, then a trade doesn't make sense. Plus, even if the Avalanche acquire him, there's no guarantee he will want to stay in Colorado long term because, again, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. For the Avalanche, it would be a gamble. The Avalanche know they will be in a battle to earn a playoff spot in the Western Conference. Like I said, they hold the second wildcard spot as of right now going into the NHL All-Star break. I do think they do need some help, but you're going to get Gabriel Landeskog back, which is going to help, but still, you need more scoring power. And if I look at a trade, you have to go for offense. And you know what? Who could be in that trade would be Sam Girard. Don't be surprised if Sam Girard gets traded for any players. Colorado will be calling and picking up the phone before and right at the trade deadline. They're probably doing it right now just to see what the market is for, say, a Sam Girard, or if they want a Ryan O'Reilly. The only way they will make a trade if it makes sense for the franchise. You want to be a buyer at the trade deadline so you can actually add to your team, and you're only going to make a trade if it makes sense. The worst case scenario, though, is the Avalanche stand pat. If I really look at the trade deadline, though, you don't know what's going to happen. Could they go after Ryan O'Reilly? Yes. I think it does make a lot of sense if you want another deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I know Evan Rodriguez has been pretty good at the second line center, but you need more veteran leadership. Could that be a Ryan O'Reilly? I would like to see them go at least place a call. I think, though, the asking price might be a little high, but you know what? The Avalanche don't care about that. They want to be they want to be a team that actually makes a deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We know that they may stand pat, and the reason why they may stand pat is because of all the talent that you're going to get back. I mean, Gabriel Landeskog may be your best trade asset. What I mean by that is he's not going to get traded, but he might be your best player because of the fact that he's going to be healthy for the Avalanche for the stretch run. Now, if that happens, yeah, maybe you don't need to make a trade. But if you want to be a team in a better position to actually go ahead and make a run to the Stanley Cup final, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Avalanche get rid of Sam Girard. Why? Well, Bo Byram is healthy, and you have Devontae and Cale Makar. Why do you need a Sam Girard to score from the blue line? You already have players to replace him. And the fact of the matter is I don't know if the Avalanche really want to keep Sam Girard past this season. Of course, you're going to see what the Avalanche have in store on the trade deadline. It's always a great time, and it's nerve-wracking. The reason why it's a great time is if you're a buyer, you're like, yeah, let's get some talent. If you're a seller, you're kind of nervous if you're going to actually give up a player you shouldn't have. That's always a gamble. And if you are the buyer, who knows if, especially if they're going to be an unrestricted free agent, if you're going to keep that player long-term. So the Avalanche have decisions coming. I'm Jordan Long. This has been Under Review. Read my blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. Subscribe to the Sideline Sports Network on YouTube so you don't miss any of our great shows because we have shows every single day. This has been a Sideline Sports production.